Hey, welcome back. So this one is based on Scrapper Blackwell's version of Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. So this is a really old song and it's a really fun one to play. So let's get into it. So what we're going to talk about in this video is basically the way that I think that you should practice it. This is kind of in the blues category, but it's really kind of branching out towards a little bit more towards jazz, in my opinion. We're playing some more jazzy chords. We're not really doing a blues progression necessarily, although it does sound bluesy, so we're going to learn this in the blues section. The best way to start to play this is we're going to go in this order. So first, just play the chords only. So that's going to be these chords with something that I call the cheater strum that happens a lot, and not just blues music, but a bunch of other genres. And then and the second thing you should try to do is add little walk up and walk downs that sound like this. Okay, that kind of thing. And then finally, we're going to try to add the simple melody that's kind of on the top of it. Now, technically, this isn't really a melody on top because this is a song for accompaniment. You're actually supposed to be singing with this or having somebody else sing. Now, I know a lot of people that are learning this aren't really interested in singing, and that's okay. This one's still really fun to play, even without singing. It's really fun, and it sounds cool by itself, I think. It's a nice composition all by itself. So let's jump in, and first let's go through the chords really slowly, and this is how I think that you should play it. So number one. So I'm going to play it at kind of about this speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, kind of at that speed. So here we go. So when you're looking at the tab here, I want you to just look at the top line. So you're just going to look at where the chords are. So don't look at all those numbers in the tab. Only look at where the chord changes is. Now, I've put a lot of great detail into the fingering that I suggest that you use for all of these. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's the fingering that I use, and I think that it'll really help if you try to follow that. So this is what it'll sound like. Basically, we're going to just strum like this, kind of with a little bit of that swing beat. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and C, E7, A7 for a full bar, F, A7, D7 over A, F sharp diminished, C going to A7, D7 over A again, to G. The second time it's the same thing. We'll do it one more time. C, E7 to A7. And just kind of strumming these. F, A7, D7 over A. F sharp diminished. C going to A7. Another one of those bars of D7 over A. G going to C. Okay, now when I'm playing that, just doing the chords and the chord strumming with my thumb and index finger going back and forth like this, you can still hear that there's a melody going on, or I'm kind of catching some of those melody notes. And that's going to be our last step to add, but even just playing it like this, you can kind of hear some kind of chord melody going on. So it's fun to play just like that. So that's your first step. Try to get those chords, not necessarily memorized in the order, but just to be able to where you could read it across just playing those chords. They need to be, these chords need to feel very comfortable for the rest of the song to work. All right, so the next step after that would be adding those walk down and walk ups. So this time I'm just going to do the chords the exact same way I just played it, except we're going to do this walk down and walk up in all the places that need it. The other thing that I think that we should add at this point is some of those cheater strums. So what are the cheater strums? Well, you'll notice here on the tabs, we have on the fifth measure, where it has the first instance of the D7 over A chord, going to that F, you'll notice the last beat of that measure is just 2 zeros, okay? That's what we mean by the cheater strum. Also, that F to F sharp diminished chord, that ends with another one of these just strumming the chords, or strumming the strings all open like that. That's what we call the cheater strum. In context, it kind of sounds like you're doing something extra, but the real truth is that you're just allowing yourself to get to the next point without leaving a hole in the music, without just going something like that. That would be without the cheater strum, and it's just not as cool sounding. You got to get those we're basically filling in the spaces with just this, okay? That's something really common. It comes up all the time. It's not cheating, even though I'm calling it a cheater strum. It's something that it feels like you're cheating because it makes it easier, but it sounds cooler and it's more fun for your audience and for the listeners. So we're gonna add that. I'm gonna go ahead and play that with the walk-ups and the walk-downs. I'm not gonna do the repeat. I'm just gonna do it one time through very slow. So something like this. 1, 2, 3. Here comes the next walk. Walk up, cheater strum, cheater strum, walk down, walk up. That's the last part, okay? So notice that those walk-ups we just have right at the beginning, okay? And notice I'm still continuing that kind of blues tradition where we're kind of giving a lot of attitude to these notes by really just popping them hard like that. It's fun to play that way, and it kind of sounds more authentic in my opinion. The next instance of that is kind of doing that 3, 4 open, okay? The whole point of this is we're just kind of anticipating the chord by walking into the root notes, okay? So if we're going like 3, 4 open, okay, it lets the listener kind of get to that note in their head before you actually get there. So when you do, it sounds satisfying to the listener. Cool. So the other instance on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, measure 6, that C to A7 measure, there's a lot of walk-down, walk-ups here. So we have C walking down to A7. So it's C, A7, okay? One more time. Walk up to that thing. Walk up to that D7 over A again. So one more time. So it's C to A7, walking up to D over A. Okay? So that one's kind of tricky. Now you don't have to do the full walk up. So in that case, you could like just do one note of the walk up before. So instead of doing that 2, 3, 4 open, you could just do something like this. So from right before that, it'll go. Okay, so that's just kind of a one-step walk up. You could even go 2-step walk up. We're doing a 3-step walk up here in this case. All right, so those are the walk up and walk downs with those cheater strums. It's starting to fill out and sound like a real song now. The last part that we want to add is basically what we're calling the basic melody. Again, this isn't really the melody of the song. The melody is being sung at the same time. So this isn't really the real melody, but since we're kind of playing this as a fingerstyle solo arrangement, the melody is still there. So this is what I think the melody sounds like. I'll just play the melody this time by itself. Again, it's not really the melody, but here we go. So we're clicking the metronome 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. Finally. So that's the melody by itself. Obviously, it doesn't sound like much of a melody because, again, it's not really the melody of the song. But that's, if you want to kind of have that stuck in your head a little bit so you can get a hold of the song a little faster, I think that's something that helps. So that's what it sounds like. I don't really recommend playing that by itself like I'm playing it, but I just did that for y'all so you can hear it. So now I'm going to do a really slow playthrough. Let's actually add the metronome with this one. Now guys, usually when I recommend playing with the metronome, I do recommend you slow it down, but 60 is about the lowest speed that you can do and kind of still feel the groove. In this case, we're going to try this one at 60, but it's going to feel pretty slow. So I'll do my best playing it this slow, but it's kind of tough playing it that slow. That's kind of the bottom limit where we're going to be. So here we go. So I'll play the whole song with the repeat. And remember, the whole song is exactly the same twice, except for the very last measure. That's the only thing that's different. Here we go. At 60. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. So that's the whole thing. Really, really slow. That's kind of tough to play at that speed, but it's actually okay. You can still kind of feel the groove a little bit. Now I notice when I'm playing it, I'm kind of getting off a little bit on the rhythm, but that's okay. So have fun with this one, and that's it, and I'll see you on the next one.